Hey everyone, Nick here. Today I am going to give my Halloween movie rankings from worst to best. I don't really have any snazzy videos or music like a lot of people do. Just started this channel. So it's going to kind of just be a rundown of all the Halloween movies. Hopefully, I learn how to do some of that stuff soon. But for now, you're just stuck with the straight up rankings. So we're going to get right into it. And starting at number 11 is a controversial pick right off the bat. We are going to go with Halloween H2O. So a lot of people have this in their top two or top three in the franchise. For me, not at all. The problem I have with this movie is it just does not feel like a Halloween movie. If I was ranking the franchise in just best quality of movies, this movie would not be at the end. But as far as Halloween movie, uh, th- this film it just doesn't feel like it's the Halloween season. It's definitely not in the Midwest because they went out to California. Overall, the story had a lot of potential. I loved Jamie Lee Curtis's character battling alcoholism and a lot of things that went with that, but it just felt too screamified, and I just wasn't a big fan. So that's why it's at the bottom for me. Moving right along to number 10 will be most people's last on the list, Halloween Resurrection. I don't even know where to start with this movie. Just from beginning to end, just garbage. They get rid of the great ending to H2O with some paramedic switch places with Michael. Ridiculous. The setting in the Myers house had some potential, some strong points, but overall it was severely lacking of any atmosphere, no tension. It was just garbage. The less said about Busta Rhymes kung fuing Michael Myers, the better. So that falls in at number 10. Number 9, we got Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from 2009. This movie is tough to rank because Rob Zombie had some creative freedom to put his own spin on things, and it was different, and I can appreciate those differences. For instance, I liked that Scout Taylor Compton's version of Laurie was going through a lot of trauma from the previous year. That was kind of cool and very realistic. But overall, the movie just fell into a lot of Rob Zombie tropes. He's a talented director. He understands how to shoot a frame, things like that. The problem is his dialogue, which I'll get into when his first movie comes up on the rankings here. But so number 9, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Moving right along to number 8, Halloween 5. Oh man, what a terrible movie. Had some potential, but you could just totally tell this movie was just rushed into production less than a year after the success of Halloween 4. Um, I thought Don Shanks was okay as Michael. He definitely is the least of this movie's problems. But right from the beginning, when you see Michael floating down a river, ending up in a hermit's house, uh, just terrible. Who wants to see Michael Myers, the shape, floating down a river? And then he walks into the hermit's house and just collapses. Jamie being a mute, terrible creative decision. Just terrible. So distracting. Just ridiculous. And you can't mention Halloween 5 without mentioning very possibly the most annoying character in slasher movie history, Tina. My God, I was not old enough to be in a theater when this movie came out. I was a little bit too young, but I can just imagine when Michael stabs her in the chest, the whole theater erupting in applause. Uh, I one thing I did like about this movie though is I liked the laundry chute scene. The final kind of chase in the Myers house was kind of cool. For some reason, the Myers house was a gothic mansion. That was ridiculous. When you do stuff like that, you're just slapping fans in the face, and nobody likes that. So Dominique, whatever the fuck your name is, fuck you. Moving along to number 7, we got Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween remake. Lots to like about this movie. Once again, just like I said with Halloween 2, Zombie knows how to shoot a frame. He understands tension. He's very good at all that stuff. The problem he has is his writing. His dialogue is just cringeworthy. I get it. It's a horror movie. You're going to have swear words and stuff, but nobody wants to hear cunt every 10 seconds. I'm going to skull fuck you. Do people talk like that? God, zombie. Oh, just disgusting. It, it doesn't belong in a Halloween film. Maybe I hold Halloween films in too much high regard, but nobody wants to see that. As far as the story goes, it was kind of interesting. I always wondered what it would have been like to see what Michael went through the 15 years when he was in the sanitarium, and how Dr. Loomis, spends 8 years trying to reach him, and another 7 trying to keep him locked up. That was kind of cool, but it did exactly what everyone thought it would do. It took away the mystique of the character. Um, so good attempt, Rob, but you're not towards the top of the list. The sixth movie in my ranking is going to be the new one, Halloween 2018. This was probably the most difficult film on the list for me to rank for a few reasons. Number one, did a lot of great things. Got rid of the brother sister angle. Had a lot of great kills. Laurie was interesting, even though I liked her character better in H2O. Um, the movie had an interesting premise. Where it lost me was the Sartain twist. Um, I thought that was stupid. It felt like they needed a reason to get Michael over by Laurie because they weren't siblings and he wasn't going after her. It felt like like someone thought they were doing some M. Night Shyamalan twist, and it just didn't work for me. Um, but like I said, this movie did do a lot of great things. The problem that I'm having is when I first saw it in the theaters on opening night, my birthday actually, I saw it in the theaters and I loved it. I loved it. And subsequent rewatches, it has gotten worse every time. I mean, it hasn't aged well and it's been less than a year. That's not a good thing. So, although it had a lot of potential and did a lot of good things right, it falls right in the middle, about number 6 for me. Number 5 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Lots of great things to love about this movie. The first thing that stands out is the daytime scenes with Dr. Loomis. So many great quotes he has. Whether he's in the doctor's office talking to, what's his name, Dr. Hoffman, after the ambulance crashes, at the gas station. Just so many quotes that are just iconic, and I think it might be my favorite version of Dr. Loomis. He's a little bit unhinged, hasn't gone off the wall like Halloween 5 yet, um, but he's just, he's Ahab chasing the whale. It's just an awesome version of him. The atmosphere of this movie is incredible. Obviously, the opening credit scenes are just probably the best opening credits I've ever seen in any movie. It just feels like autumn in the Midwest. And Dwight Little, who directed it, just did a fantastic job with that. The one thing holding it back for me is I just can't get past that shitty mask. It's garbage. It's so terrible. It's just the most distracting thing I've ever seen. So any scene that you see Michael in, I'm just thinking about how terrible the mask is every time, and it's just horrible. Danielle Harris as Jamie, wonderful. Ellie Cornell as Rachel, just another awesome character. She did an awesome job, but that mask just drops it a little bit for me. So that's why it comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Depending on which version you want to choose here, it doesn't really matter to me. Both would fall in the same spot. There's parts I like about the producer's cut a lot better. That includes the score of the movie is a lot better in the producer's cut. I don't even know why I feel that way. I just know every time I watch it, the score just stands out as being a lot better. As far as the theatrical cut, there's less. It's less thorny, so to speak, storyline wise. Michael has a lot better kills. In the theatrical cut, they have the what is it, the operating room massacre, which is just an awesome scene. So yeah, Paul Rudd has a weird performance, but I kind of like it, to be honest. I've heard a lot of negative things about his performance in this movie. It seems kind of right on line with a kid that's just fucked up that saw Michael Myers when he was however old Tommy was in the first one. Six, probably 8 years old or something like that. He's been fucked up and obsessed his whole life. So I thought it was kind of a realistic performance by Paul Rudd. It's weird to see him in this movie now, knowing that he's kind of blown up as a comedy star and Ant-Man and all that. But I thought he did a nice job for his first movie. So that comes in at number 4. We are down to the top 3. And for those of you that have been keeping track, it leads the original, Halloween 2, 1981, and Halloween 3. So coming in at number 3 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I wish I would have given this movie a chance when I was younger because I just love it. I love it. It's just got such an ominous feeling. What the hell's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Tom Atkins' character, Dan Chalice, Dr. Chalice, just such an everyman. The whole plot is absurd. Cochran killing all the kids in the U.S. or Earth or whatever. It's just cool. The little town of Santa Mira has just got a creepy feeling. Everything about this movie, it just feels like the holiday of Halloween. I wish I would have given it a chance when I was younger. I was one of those idiots that it didn't have Michael Myers in it. I'm not going to watch a movie without Michael Myers in it. Shit, this is better than most of the movies with Michael Myers in it. So yeah, it comes in at number 3 for me. Great movie. Number 2 is Halloween 2 from 1981. I love this movie. The hospital setting, the kills, the fact that it came out continues the same night is just brilliant. Just brilliant. It feels like one long movie to me. There's a lot of nostalgia factor too. I saw this when I was really young, like 6 years old. I remember going over to my grandma's house to see it. I think it was on NBC or USA or something at the time. And I was just terrified of hospitals ever since. I still get a little queasy in hospitals because of this movie. There's a few things that are troublesome. Dick Warlock, I like him as a person. He seems like a great guy, but his his portrayal of Michael Myers just, you hear this all the time. He's just a little too robotic, and it doesn't feel like the same Michael or the shape from the original Halloween, which is supposed to happen on the same night. So that'd be my one main criticism of that. They tried to have Michael in the shadows, but sometimes it showed a little bit too much of the mask, or, it would have been better if it was blurred out and you just could kind of see his silhouette there and things like that. There's one great shot of that, or, there's a couple actually. But for the most part, this movie just creeps me out because of the setting. Everything about it, it just, feels like Halloween. And one thing I want to mention is the first movie kind of feels like Laurie's story. This movie feels like Loomis's story. You're following Loomis, who's trying to find Michael, and it's just a really cool aspect. You can starting to see Loomis getting frustrated. The whole brother-sister angle. Obviously, Carpenter. Most people know Carpenter didn't want to do this sequel. Was contractually obliged to do it. So he drank a 6-pack of beer and wrote in the brother-sister angle. So he kind of regrets that. Obviously, it kind of stuck the writers for a while with the sequels. They kept having him go after his family. So that's another little criticism. But overall, just, the atmosphere of this film just does it for me. Number 1 now is going to be no surprise to absolutely anyone. The original Halloween, 1978. The minute or so that I'm going to talk about this movie isn't going to do it justice. Not only is this my favorite horror movie of all time, it's my favorite film of all time. John Carpenter just does a master class in everything, from the score to the cinematography, the story, everything about it. It's just the realest, creepiest movie you will ever see. Just Michael being in the shadows, Laurie and her friends seeming real, Michael slowly watching and then killing them, Loomis's scenes. Loomis and Brackett are talking in the Myers house, and Loomis is given the iconic speech, the Devil's Eyes monologue. There's not All Loomis is doing is talking. You have a doctor talking to a cop, and because of the score and the way Donald Pleasance delivers his lines, it's utterly terrifying. That's the moment that I was all in on this film. I saw it when I was really little, and I've been obsessed with the franchise since. It's made me obsessed with horror movies. I owe a lot to this film. I've wasted a lot of time dissecting this film and watching all the sequels and now making videos on it. So yeah, eventually I'll do some more in-depth reviews on different aspects of this film. But that's my list. I plan on doing some reviews on all these films individually, as well as some Friday the 13th films and maybe some Nightmare films too. So I'll get into this a little more in depth. I just kind of wanted to give my rundown of the rankings as I see them. So if you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. Other than that, see you all later.